Budget talk has brought a lot of drama to Capitol Hill over the last couple of weeks, but what technically is going on here? We hear a lot about the policies that are being argued about and what's going on with this program or that program, but what's actually happening? What are they really arguing about, and how does the budget actually work? I'm Brian. I make videos about civics and law. There's a copy of the Senate budget in my shared documents. If you want to check it out, you can get to my link tree from my profile, or it's right there. Honestly, this may be a little bit of an oversimplification, but I'm hearing some questions that suggest that people aren't getting certain parts of this. So I just want to kind of run through the whole thing real fast. Just as a general concept, what we're doing, what we're arguing about. But drop a comment and let me know if any of these policy things they've been talking about are going to have a direct effect on you, or if any of them are going to be particularly problematic or helpful to you. Okay, this is our imaginary budget. And let's say this year it cost this much to run the government. The government cost 3, so we divided 3 by the number of people who live here and everybody kicked in their share. Obviously, that's not the way this works, but stick with me for just a second. Congress has decided that next year we are only going to spend 2, and pretend those are straight lines. And essentially, this is what's happened. This Congress wants to cut taxes by 1, but that means we've got to cut 1 out of our budget for next year. Okay, that part is pretty obvious, right? But now, here comes the tough part. Congress decided at the beginning of this year that they were only going to spend 2. So one way or another, they had to cut us from 3 to 2. So first, the House gave us their recommendations, and they cut this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and eventually made their way down to 2. Originally, the Senate tried to do the same thing, but the problem is the parliamentarians said, no, that one you can't do, that one you can't do, that one you can't do, and at the end, they didn't end up at 2. By the time the Senate parliamentarian was done saying, this isn't a budget item, this isn't a budget item, you can't put those in a budget, the Senate's budget was at like 2.5. Well, they had already promised to get down to 2 one way or another, so they have started cutting other things. And the big thing they've cut in the last couple of days is further into Medicaid. Well, now the House is panicking because there were already big cuts to Medicaid, and this might be too much. But these guys aren't allowed over in the Senate, so if they're going to make it down to 2, they've got to cut something, and Medicaid was the easiest thing to cut. It's a really big program. You can just kind of shave stuff off here and there until you get the number down. But not only is the House kind of upset about this, but some senators are like, I don't know about this. And this isn't the only thing they had to cut to get down to this number. Over the last couple of days, they keep cutting more and more things to try to get down to that 2 number that they promised. And over the next couple of days, the people who are still on the fence are either going to have to give up on their objections or give up on 2. Let me draw this a little cleaner. That isn't. So the spending from 3 to 2 are tax breaks. And there are plenty of creators out there who can factually explain to you where these tax breaks go and who they benefit. I don't think that's quite in my wheelhouse, but please make sure you know. I think it's important. All right, so that's where we are right now. Either the Senate has to make unpopular cuts to get it down to the number they promised, or they have to give up on the number they promised. And we're going to see which way this ends. You can download a copy of this bill from my shared documents. And if you want to help me do this, you can also support me right there. Thanks a lot.